This week's Sunday Telegraph is a real family winner. There's a chance to win a year's free health insurance from Manchester Unity at the top family rate. With interest rates falling, the banks are about to launch a battle for your credit. What's in it for you? Money may have already decided next year's Rugby League Grand Finalists. We reveal who the clubs have signed and how much they've already paid. The government plans to give massive power, including the right to jail workers, to the boss of the ABC. The Sunday Telegraph says this must not happen. With full reports of the New South Wales Golf Open and the countdown to the Melbourne Cup. And I ask, are we forcing our children to grow up too quickly?
Water and all kinds of different things now that the federal government and the provincial governments and the municipal governments put their fingers in the pots to try and profit off, but instead it backfired and made things worse. Look at our car insurance system here. We have one car insurance company and it is provincially controlled. We can't get car insurance anywhere else but the provincially controlled car insurance. They doubled my car insurance in a small town with 3 cars and 2 stoplights. So, but that's just how we now have to pay for the bad drivers. So we're getting bought out from our housing, and then we got to pay for the bad driving on top of it. Woo! Now, who are going to pay these city deficits? With a lot of people complaining, having to send so much money to the capitals because a planned 9% Vancouver tax hike sparks backlash, but some councillors say it's needed after vision failures. So here it is, guys. Councillors are already talking to raise taxes 9% in Vancouver, in a city, in a municipality. 9 points. Now, that is very dangerous because that's going to move people outside of the municipalities. But luckily, there's not a lot of Canadians living in Vancouver anymore, which is kind of a good thing in a way.
Part of it by about a third.
For would-be renters, it's very tempting.
I have calls almost every day from interested parties. They ask me what the rent is, tell them the rent, they're still interested.
And then he tells them the property tax.
$53,000 a year, about $4,400 a month.
That abruptly ends the conversation. And so Peter Tulliday's 1,900 square foot commercial space sits empty.
We always go the distance, right up to the wall. Good friends you can count on, and a codex says it all. There's nothing halfway about it, that's always been our call. Yeah, there's nothing halfway about it, X says it all.
Okay, here's the deal, guys. This is being reported from us from Australia, from The Guardian. Can basically Santa or Christmas season turn the basically no confidence and consumer confidence and no banking confidence and no all these confidences that are out the window right now in Australia? Could Christmas turn things around? Can Christmas save Australia? Well, here it is. Final days, up to 60% off store closures. Last chance to save. Weak GDP, no surprise, as economists declare household recession. The 0.5% Australian GDP growth for the third quarter was lower than forecasted by the Reserve Bank this week. But housing is taking off, guys. Housing is ready to skyrocket. Housing is ready to take off. Why? Because more and more people are leaving China's shores and they're finding ways to get their wealth out. They find several loopholes via studying, via students, via all kinds of ways. But although it might have caught Martin Place by surprise, it's not a great shock to many close observers of the Australian economy. With the retail sector on its knees, the sector is forecasting to grow at an anemic 0.3%. Really? So that many credit cards were sent out, eh?
Get into a new taste, get into your new Polly Wobble. Polly Wobble. Polly Wobble, golly, what's a mouthful? A creamy, creamy sensor, so you better get your new Polly Wobble. Polly Wobble. Polly Wobble, golly, what's a mouthful?
New Polly Waffle with an extra creamy centre. What a mouthful!
What a mouthful. Polly Wobble. What a
Edinburgh Exodus. Yep, Scotland. We've been talking about Scotland for 2 years now in the channel. 2 years we've been talking about Scotland and their housing crisis and how they saw this strange phenomena of bidding wars. They've never seen bidding wars before in foreign speculation and foreign investing, and it's been crippling them. We've been following the one in Dublin and in Belfast, and we've been following... London's gone. London's finished. All the youth and all the... productive people have all moved to Middle England. People that actually want to make a difference in their country have moved to Middle England. A lot of them have left the big cities. So Edinburgh Exodus, sky-high property prices and rents force more people out of the capital. We're headed towards food shortage crisis. And not because we're overpopulated, not because of any of that. No, it's not. It really isn't. We have enough land to produce. You could have one country, like one decent-sized country, the size of Texas, that could feed the entire world if we had to do it. If Texas was the only place on the planet that could grow food, we could grow enough food to feed the entire planet if we had to, just from Texas alone, right? But the problem is, a lot of food gets thrown away and disposed of because people can't afford to buy it. Italy passed a law last week, and Portugal passed the same law like 5 years ago. Grocery food stores and stuff are not allowed to trash food anymore. That goes bad. It gets sent to food banks, or in restaurants are not allowed to throw food in the garbage anymore. It gets sent to local shelters for people to eat. Period. Done.
What'll it be?
Nuts.
Nuts?
Eating nuts.
How about a picnic? It's got a big nutty taste and crisp wafer biscuit wrapped in chewy caramel. Picnics covered in Rice Crisps and lots of fresh roasted nuts. Yes, the Cadbury milk chocolate is smooth and creamy, isn't it?
Picnics for everyone. Get into the bar with a big nutty taste.
So what is happening right now? We have here on Perth TV. Now, you guys know what happened in Perth, Australia. Perth, Australia took one of the biggest dips in the Commonwealth. Perth and Richmond Hill, Ontario were the two biggest drops in a really quick turnaround. Richmond Hill, Ontario, and Perth, Australia, okay? Property prices. So Perth is bouncing back according to this, but what is fueling it? We covered this in another video where Chinese are coming back in huge numbers, seeing a decline in the Australian dollar and a slight strength in the yuan, and seeing a decline in housing prices. Australia right now, Perth, especially Perth, is looking like a good deal for foreign investing. So this is from today's dates. Property prices rose at a bare neck pace in November at record low interest rates, and looser lending standards fueled demand in the sector that has gone from bust to boom since mid-year. So guys, do you remember what the loser lending? Remember Westpac and all these banks that are getting fined with all this money laundering and all this cheating they're doing? Well, it's showing in the markets. It's clearly showing a rebound in the housing market. Why, Mike? Why housing? Well, in Canada, $200 billion laundered through real estate with illegal money. Same thing happening in Seattle, same thing happening in Oregon and California. But the thing is, a lot of these countries now are so heavily tied to housing that it almost makes me feel like a conspiracy theorist saying they purposely plan this out to basically take over these countries and buy everything and take over, and the Australian proper has no chance. I call back. They said, we'll call you back. You are number 496 in the queue. I'm like, holy crap, what the heck is going on here? So I schedule for a call back. Then like 7 hours later, I get a call back. And again, the guy doesn't speak English. It really broken English. So I'm like, okay, dude, I need a technician to come. So he says to me, he needs the serious number, or not the serial number. He said in a funny way. not serial, but he said serious number from the modem, the router from the modem. I had to check to see I was calling the right number because that's how bad it was. I thought it was somebody had their phone number similar to the cable company or the internet company, almost by 1 or 2 digits off. So when you call, you would be like, "What the heck is this?" It actually was the legit number. So I'm giving him the number of the modem. So I come downstairs. It's early in the morning. I get the modem, and it's not working properly. My internet, something's wrong with the modem itself. So I ask him to send a technician. He's like, "Give me the serial number." Did he call it serious number? Series number on it. So I give him the number. So I'm like 1462. He's like, okay, 14, and then 2 6s, and then I give him the number 14. I think it was 146239, and then he puts 999. I'm like, no, okay, dude, I ain't giving you the quantities of the numbers. I'm giving you the number off the modem. He's like, oh, sir, I have very big education. And I'm like, oh, my God, this has got to be a joke. I checked the number again. I'm like, this is the number on their website. This is the number. I'm calling the right number. So I'm like, 14. He's like, okay, one, not 1, but he puts 4 as in 4 again. Okay, dude, it's not 1 as in 4, the quantity. I'm saying the number is 1462. He's like, okay, so 14, 2 6s. I'm like, holy crap.
You know, Peebo's got a master plan to get rid of all the nasties in the land.
They've got a strong range of insecticides to see the end of the cockies, the mozzies, and flies. And just about all the nasties besides. Just imagine.
There'll be no more cockies in the kitchen if you Peebo round the fridge. No more flies buzzing past your eyes. No more silverfish. Richie Ditch, there'll be no more nasties in the bedroom. No more mossies buzzing low. Give 'em all the old 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em with the old Peebo. Hit 'em with the old Peebo. Hit 'em with the old Peebo. Hit 'em high, hit 'em low. Hit 'em with the old Peebo.
There are 3 strong Peebo sprays. Peebo Pine Fresh. Just because it doesn't pong, doesn't mean it isn't strong. 1 sniff, biff, they've had the gong. And Peebo's surface spray kills cockies near as good as 2 bits of wood.
Hit 'em with the old Peebo.
Yeah, I know. I have a whole different area. I look all over. I've got so many different areas that I'm looking at stuff. You've got to diversify and get an angle from everywhere and try and put the pieces of the puzzle together. That's and then hopefully sometimes when you read an overlapping story, it starts to make sense and you can build an opinion, hopefully a correct one. But I don't think you're going to find that at CNN. No.
So, okay, do you think, in your opinion, this is your opinion, they're getting this ready so Hill Dog will run in 2020?
Hill Dog can't run in 2020. There's too much connection. That'd be a big joke if she ran. She can't.
Well, no, I saw her on the news like 3 weeks ago. She's being pressured by so many people to run.
I know, but there's two.
No, she's not. Democrats... She's not. When someone tells you that somebody's saying something and telling you, it's never. It's psychologically. No one's telling her anything.
The deadline's passed for her to be in. Isn't the deadline passed? Like weeks ago?
Well,
I'm pretty sure she
it doesn't work like that, Raven. Again, take it back to square one. These guys like to renegotiate the rules as they go along. There's no deadline for them.
I think you got huge problems there, man, and they're in no position to deal for a trade war. The U.S. I believe is got all the power on that trade war.
Well, their banks have 0 to no leverage. But the thing is, one thing China is doing that's in the right. And I have to really take my hat off for them on this. They've already bought 10,000 tons of gold in the last 3.5 years.
Yeah.
That's one thing I have to actually, and the Chinese and the governments are also saying to buy up gold too.
Yeah.
So
I bought gold this week. I bought 2,400 in gold and I bought a 100-ounce bar of silver. I bought the 100-ounce bar of silver at spot with no premium.
Good. Good. You
That was a good
want to buy that
store.
spot anyway. You're not buying it for like artistic purposes either. You're just buying it to hold, right?
Yeah, that's all. I don't sell. I bought all the gold was jewelry, which I got just over melt, like from a flea market. The guy sells higher end jewelry, but I got it at just over the cost of gold.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought 3 necklaces and a coin, a quarter ounce 1898 coin, American coin, quarter ounce, and 3 necklaces. So I'm just under the radar, buying whatever I can. I picked up some silverware too, 2 spoons and a napkin holder, heavy, all sterling silver. Whatever I can grab, anything I can get.
Solid silver.
You know what? The money that I make, as fast as I can convert it into something that's a hard asset, it's gone.
Yeah.
I only pay my bills with fiat, and there's no savings anymore. I flip everything, and as much as you can put into hard assets.
How do you feel? Your first big game, you're what's his name? Who is this kid? How do you feel? Your stomach churns, the liniment burns, your palms are wet. How do you feel? Your first big chance slips through your hand, what a serve you get. How do you feel? The pace is on, your winner's scrum, it's heaven sent. How do you feel when you score a try with a dummy and a jink? How do you feel? How do you feel?
I feel like a two-ease. I feel like a two-ease. I feel like a two-ease or two. I feel like a two-ease or two.
Taco Bell's higher New Zealand prices described as heartbreaking. Already, a lot of New Zealanders are sleeping in tree houses. I read that story. Abandoned cars put up in hotels, having a really tough time. Younger generations having a really tough time getting anything, making headway. And I feel so bad. And I've been covering New Zealand. I was very happy when they came out with that Kiwi plan, the Kiwi build plan by Phil Tyford. And they were going to build 100,000, middle-class homes and stuff. They built 16 homes. And absolutely devastating. So that is actually very expensive. And New Zealanders dining at Taco Bell appear to be paying more than Americans for the same food. And some are not happy about it. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love this one. CC. You know what CC stands for? Not cubic centimeters. Stands for climate change. Okay, the climate changes. We're going into winter in a week. Yes, the climate changes. Can they be more specific what they call this? Global warming was better because it actually sounded like something was out of the ordinary. Climate change. So what? The climate changes. And that's how they're massaging the people. Yeah, Lobster Boy says, wait till the Canadian dollar crashes. Food through the roof. Yeah, LB, Lobster Boy knows what he's talking about. Climate change. So I'm not denying the climate changes. So how do we change that? It's got to be like global warming or Armageddon climate movement or something. It can't be called climate change. It's like saying my car takes gasoline, right? And then arguing that saying that, yeah, it does take gasoline, but I'm not arguing my car uses gasoline fuel with you guys. It does take gasoline, like climate changes. Climate changes. I know that. My car uses gasoline. I know that. But the way they're spinning it is the coolest thing ever. What would you do right now, newly married and getting sick of waiting to buy a house? Market to chill out.
Buy a piece of land, a small piece, and build your own.
Canada won't work, buddy. To build a house in Canada is like $600,000.
Why?
Because it's Canada. To build the exact same house in Buffalo, New York, $60,000.
Yeah, I know, but you guys don't have any kind of open land for your citizens to buy?
We do, but the problem is it's very expensive. Where she lives, she doesn't live in Beverly Hills, but it's very expensive. So Canada's just overpriced. The same piece of land in Conroe, Texas will probably be like $6,000, and here will be like 45.
Well, China's going to own Canada far before they ever touch, foot on the American soil.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's when you start to see them closing the American-Canadian border off when that starts happening.
Yeah, but they've already tried to infiltrate the West Coast. That's why you see all this drive up in prices.
Mm-hmm.
They did it not only commercially through commercial real estate, but also residential. And a lot of these big hedge funds were all in on it too, making money.
Of
they
course.
don't care.
With all these phony stock buybacks and spoofing of the markets.
Nobody cares, Mike. That's the problem. And your government doesn't love you.
Well, my thing to Emma Murty, my advice to her is honestly move to Conroe, Texas. That's it. Because you're educated. I think your spouse or your husband is educated. I honestly think that you could do well in Texas.
You'll be better off.
2 years working, you buy into a house. You could set up. You could have your land. You could have a gun collection. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but this has been going on for 35 years, man. They sold this whole globalism thing on the American people at first.
Right.
When they started outsourcing all the jobs. This was back when I started working and stuff. They outsourced all the jobs to China because it was cheaper labor.
How do you feel when you walk on the field knowing you're the last to play? How do you feel when you face a new ball and the winner's just 5 runs away? How do you feel when you hear the appeal and the umpire says no way? How do you feel on the very last ball and only a 6 will save the day? How do you feel when the ball is fielded, there's a pickets on the way? How do you feel? How do you feel?
I feel like a two-ace. I feel like a two-ace. I feel like a two-ace or two. I feel like a two-ace. I feel like a two-ace. I feel like a two-ace drop through.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like, what's the point? Like, this whole climate change thing, we could talk about this for months. Yeah. But in it's not affecting food. It's like climate change, like arguing climate change is like arguing I'm putting gas in my car. It's like, how do you argue that? Yes, my car runs on gasoline. But how do you argue that when climate changes, and it does change, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, but it's a way for people to feel important and feel like they've got an important cause that they can concern themselves about. And I'm going to say something that's going to sound a little abrasive to this community here, okay? Mm-hmm. But in some ways, we do the same thing, right? We know about the banks, right? The BANKs, we know about that. We understand that there's corruption out there. Mm-hmm. We that's the backdrop to our lives. We get it. Hey, you know what? I mean, I have been personally affected by it, and I can see how world events have affected my life personally and my attempts to, conduct business and do all kinds of things. It's there. It's in the background. It's the same thing. All that we're doing now is saying, okay, what do we as individuals do about it? What do we as an online community do about it? We're in this atomized society, and we're basically living in this, it's like a collapsed mine shaft, right? Like it's pitch black, and we're calling out into the darkness to find other people, right? So that we can figure out what to do and get out of the situation and keep each other from going nuts. Okay, that's what I see us doing here, Mike. Where climate change is concerned, they're pushing it because in Canada it's GST 2.0. They need the money. They're bankrupt. It's that's simple as that. We're bankrupt. It was coming. It was a mathematical certainty for decades. Nobody did anything about it, and now the first attempts to do anything about it. You've got bedlam and public strikes or threats of strikes in Ontario. Guaranteed you're going to have them in British Columbia.
Well, most of the manufacturers and organizations, you know what they're going to say? Oh, you want to go on strike? Fine, we'll just close our doors. Goodbye.
Oh, probably.
Because the cost of the property tax is just going. Did you watch trends in the housing market last Wednesday when that guy is paying $54,000 a year in property tax?
Oh, yeah. I caught a part of that. Yeah.
900 square foot, 1,000 square foot. It's tiny store.
Yeah.
No backyard, no back alley, no nothing, and no second story.
Yeah, $54,000 a year in property taxes. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. How do they justify that? It can't possibly cost that much. I mean, I thought the whole idea of density was that you could have more people with relatively the same amount of infrastructure. You know, you might have to put in more water lines and gas lines and things like that.
But it should be cheaper.
To service build. It should be cheaper because you're building higher, you know. Like, an 80-story building, there should be there should be some I forget what the term I'm looking at here, but the unit per unit cost of supplying those services should be cheaper just because of the number of units contained on that one block area.
We always go